Big one.
I got me good.
Here to say record. The Belleville Area District Library Board will come to order. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States to the republic under God.
We will now go to item 2 on our agenda, which is the roll call, and for that I will call on our secretary, Alma Hughesbrook.
Okay, Jeriga,
Here.
Peters,
Here.
Priest,
Here.
Jehevitz, here. Stoudemire, excused,
Yeah.
and Hughes Grubbs present.
And you missed? Yeah. And who else?
Did I miss someone? Oh, it's right
Just a
next
new
to
guy.
my name.
Just a new guy. That's
Mr.
for
Fleming.
here.
We are in good shape. And we wish our member Tanya well on the night she deserves. As we all do, but the rest of us are here. Approval of the agenda.
So moved.
It's been moved by Jeriga and supported by Priest that the agenda as presented be approved. Before we take the vote, I just want to give people the opportunity if there's anything. I know I reached out to everybody if there's something you wanted on here, if there's any questions before we vote. Hearing none. All those in favor of approval of the agenda, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed by saying no. There are no negative votes. The motion passes unanimously. We move on to the minutes for the January 10th meeting. Those regular meeting minutes were distributed in the board pack, both electronically and they've been here in hard copy form. So I hope you've had a chance to look through them. And we will take action on these minutes.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
It's moved by Jehevitz, supported by Priest, that the January 10th meeting minutes be approved. Any questions or comments before we vote? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed by saying no. The motion passes in the affirmative with no dissenting votes. Now, we are already at the point of public comments. And we do have a couple of members of the public here. And I see.
Madam Chair,
all
I'd like
this
to
ma-
say a couple of things about the classic movie series that we had at the library. Was it last Thursday?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Last Thursday. It was terrific. And the speaker that we had was John Monahan, who's the retired movie critic for the Detroit Free Press. He was really good, and the movie was terrific. We saw Double Indemnity.
Yeah.
It was a terrific movie, and we'll see the next one. I think the date is it March 8th,
March 9th.
March
I
9th,
think it's the
Thursday, March 9th.
same date.
And
of
we're
the
going to
month.
do Rear Window. And he'll
He
do
has a lot of-
commentary on that, and
He has a lot of inside information.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Listen to him.
And then I wanted to announce that the our council is having an outing for the DIA. We're going to see the Italian movie done by Bertolini. That name wasn't familiar to me, but and it's a movie called The Conformist. And it was recommended to me by Elliot Wilhelm, who's the director of the Detroit Film Theater. And he thought that as a general movie that would be well received by our community. And they're going to send a DIA bus for us. And
Yeah,
it'll be
the
at the
day.
Township Hall at 11 on that Saturday. And then we have a tour,
What
an
Saturday?
escorted tour at the DIA. And then we break for lunch, and then we see the movie starting at 3, from 3 to 5.
What's the date of it, Barbara?
I think it's I think it's Saturday the 8th. Oh, Saturday, April the 8th.
Oh, April 8th, okay.
Saturday, April the 8th.
And the cost?
The cost will be $20. It's, the movies runs $9.50 and the other $10 is for the art
That's
council. And
half
if
the
you're
time
willing
I
to
spend
pay
at home.
$25, you get a membership in the art council.
Oh, okay,
And we'll have it in the paper.
okay,
And,
well,
and and Elaine Gutierrez asked if I would collect money this time, since she did it for the Van Gogh exhibit. So you'll just send it to my old office, law office, and I'll pick up the checks. It's $20 for the event, the bus and the movie, and then if you want to pay $25, you're a member of the art council.
Where's the pickup point? Where the bus here?
the
No, it'll be at
VBT,
Van Buren Township Hall,
Okay.
VBT Hall, and you said it's at 11 a.m.
11 a.m.
Great. A lot of good detail and good programmatic information. Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you. And tonight I gave Mary Jo a copy. I'm still sorting things from my office. And I gave Mary Jo the narrative that I used the night of the quilt dedication, the historical quilt that you have.
Oh,
I gave it to Mary Jo, so I think she'll probably have a copy available, and it's really
what year was that quilt was dedicated?
2003 that it was, or 2005 was dedicated.
That was before I even.
That was the city's 100th anniversary.
Great.
It looks like it was meant to be in that room too,
Yeah, it
the
looks
colors,
nice.
Yeah.
yeah.
It belongs there.
Yeah.
Better
yeah.
than that, than the high school.
Yeah, it's really, it's great how we've been able to,
Took 23
Put things
women a
together.
year to make that quilt.
wow. Yeah, that quilt is really enjoyable to observe, to look at closely, which I used to do a lot. Good, thank you. And John, will you please introduce your guest once again properly?
This is Julie Kissel. She's an instructor at the Washington Community College with a doctorate degree in English. She teaches English, and I wanted to introduce her to the library board.
Thank you, and thank you, Julie, for attending.
You're almost there though with the actual degree. My doctorate was in educational leadership, but I have an English degree and then special education degrees, and then my
But you
doctorate.
still are.
I teach English. I teach the at-risk program.
Okay.
Great. My husband is a career English.
And she's on the Belleville Planning Commission
Yeah,
With my
With-
husband.
with your husband and
right,
Yeah.
well, good, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
And next, we move into our committee reports. And our first committee report, as usual, is our building committee report by Joy Chehevitz.
I have no report.
I have an addition to that.
John has a report.
Mary Jo asked me to find out the information on the sidewalk across the street
Oh,
that
yeah.
has to be filled with concrete.
Right.
And there's a negative area there with no concrete. And so I went to Blue Ribbon Construction and they says, you gotta talk to Rick. So I
Right.
talked to Rick and Rick says, you gotta talk to Dean. So then, so anyway, in this process, they found that Rick found out that the minister over there has plans he found in the files of a water pipe going
Yeah.
underneath the sidewalk there, so everything's up in the air yet, so.
Well, we've been waiting on that for like
think it
3
was for
months.
their
That
baptism.
same
Oh, exactly.
information.
Exactly, and then some of their excuses, it's too cold, which is cool,
Yeah,
but, so we'll get it moved, I'll hassle him.
well, Dean, that's not fair, poor Dean, he's.
Do you know if they put a camera down there?
They
or not?
did find a camera down there, yeah, and
And
the water was coming from the baptismal font.
Yeah, I
Right.
remember that.
Yeah, we know
so
that,
that was where we were 2 or 3
Yeah,
months
yeah,
ago.
yeah,
And we haven't gotten any further
no,
than
but now they're finding other pipes going underneath there.
But now still everybody's passing the buck on who's supposed to do
truly,
it when.
truly.
Well, I think maybe we need to just let it go and give it to the city to deal with. I mean, and not,
Well, we've
not
been
put it
ready,
in our plate.
we've been ready
If
to
it's
do
there,
it as part of our
that's
building project.
More
and
than
they took-
realistic. Yeah.
And
Because we would have taken care of it a while back.
Exactly.
we would have had it done.
Yeah.
As part of our building if they hadn't stopped us about all this other stuff.
Yeah.
Well, we're getting into this, it's starting to be spring.
Yeah.
So.
Well, so
I'll contact, reach out to Matt, from O'Neill Construction,
We really need to get it off the
Did
books
you
and
do
and just
get it done.
see what he knows.
Mary Jo wants us to be her round. Okay. Well, thank you, John. And now that you've given the building report, do you have a bylaws report?
No, I don't. No report.
Report from John. Okay, Finance Committee, that's Tanya's committee, and Tanya's not here, but Tanya does not have a report, as I understand it. And I have checked in advance, so we have done all our financial work recently, and so now we can just move along. Marketing,
No report.
no report there. Personnel,
No report.
yeah, personnel took care of their business in December and January. This year she had to work 2 months. And she got it all straight. I know it, and she got it all straight. But now we have our big committee report for the policy committee.
Yeah.
Paul and Dan.
And we do have a report. So, I understand why Mary Jane decided that she didn't want to run again after the policy meeting, because Mary Jo laid about 20 pounds of paper on us here, so lucky for us, she helped us get through all of this here. So, if we start with the patrons' behavior policy, there was a little bit of wordsmithing, I think, that went on right down under Roman numeral number 2, letter G for George. And I think that there was some conversation here regarding this in a previous meeting about any persons with a service animal must comply with Michigan or federal law. So that was added or tweaked or wordsmithed, I guess, to some degree. So I don't know if anybody's got any questions or comments regarding that. And then we go to Roman numeral number 3, down to letter D, and there's a couple more tweaks that I think were made down in that area under the engaging in proper library activities. If we want to read this through, it says patrons shall engage in activities associated with the use of the library while in the building or on library property, and then such as reading, studying, writing, participating in scheduled library programs, or using library materials. And then there was an addition. It says patrons not engaged in these activities associated with the use of the library shall be required to leave the building and shall not remain in the library property. Periods of sleeping in the library or on benches, tables, or grounds outside of the library are prohibited. So that was tweaked just a little bit in order to meet, I think, the policies here. And then we had a really nice conversation about obscenities, but there wasn't any change to the policy there. That was more for, I think, for my understanding than anything. But I think that was all that we really talked about. So Mary Jo, I don't know if there's anything I missed there.
That's pretty good. I will say we are moving from our existing behavior policy is 1 page. This is obviously a lot longer than that. The way our attorney presented it to us, this is our insurance policy. 99% of the people who we encounter are great, and we never need this policy. This is for the 1% you need to pull this out of the drawer and say, no, you can't spit on the table, or whatever the problem is. We most likely will be coming up with some type of summary code of conduct that is 1 page, just to have on display in the library, that's a little bit easier for people to immediately
My,
digest with some of the high
Like
points.
the abbreviated version.
Abbreviated
My-
version, yeah.
my concern is with D here, patrons not engaged in activities associated with the use of the library shall be required to leave. The high school kids, this is a place of socialization for them. They can't socialize at the high school. There's another organization. A lot of them sit at tables and talk, and socialize and. that's
Well,
really-
actually, this was a lot more, the template we received from Ann Sarek was a lot more restrictive. And we actually dialed it back a little bit,
The
so.
way
Well,
we
yeah.
have similar language in our policy, um. We enforce it when they're being disruptive.
Yeah.
We don't enforce it when they're just hanging out.
Right.
Well, I
and
would
doing good
suggest,
things together, but when they get rowdy and disruptive and, they've been there too long.
They just let
Yeah.
it go.
Yeah, then it's like, okay, you're not using the library, but I do think you should have use of Wi-Fi or computers in there.
as library
Yeah,
activity.
those are library activities.
Those are library activities. The other thing I think is that we don't have to, it's a major legislative wording between may or shall. And instead of using the word shall be asked to leave, it could be may be
Yeah.
asked to leave.
Shell's pretty strong.
I
Yeah.
think shall is too strong in that.
Well, we can talk to our attorney again,
I know they know what may and shall is, but the
Mhm.
way it's
I mean, it
written
was
here,
hers- it
you
was
have
her-
to,
it was on her advice, so that's.
but
Well, then it becomes not optional.
it becomes non-optional,
Yeah.
and if somebody's in the library and not doing the list of things that you put here, and just like, Joy just mentioned, there are things that are library activities that they could do that are not included in this thing, and you don't wanna put yourself in a position that you have to. put them
Or
out,
one
Which
that
we
says,
don't.
Well,
That's
your
not what
policy
we're gonna do.
says that you're gonna take everybody out, so how come he gets to do
Well,
that?
it doesn't mean
Yeah.
everybody, but it does say
If
it's
it's-
got some teeth to it. That my feeling is it's got some teeth to it. It's not just, oh, well, she doesn't really mean it, So there is still some leeway. to
Well,
it.
may or shall, may gives discretion, shall is, it's gotta be that way. So I think the staff should have the
And then if you
discretion.
don't do it for one and you do it for another, now you're discriminatory.
Mhm.
It's not
I mean, this is a
discretionary,
way-
it's a point of contention. These are little, well, I did have a question about 2B. What does, the weapons clause? Except as specifically permitted and exempt from local regulation by law is prohibited. I don't understand the way that all fits together.
The law enforcement coming in the building,
No, it's about the weapons.
I
No,
know,
but
carrying weapons if you're law enforcement,
they're exempt.
then they would be exempt.
That's the local regulation?
We don't have open carry, do we?
Yeah, we do.
We do?
We have,
So they can, they
Yes,
could?
yes, they can. Libraries are not exempt from open carry, but schools are.
That's sad.
That is
Isn't
so
it?
sad.
this, yeah,
We've had them.
There was one in Sam's restaurant.
Yeah.
You walk by and there's, oh, just makes you flinch.
Yeah. So that, I don't think that means for law enforcement. I don't really.
no, I mean,
No.
except, I think the
It's
exception.
prohibited except unless they're allowed by law, so.
From
And
local regulation by law. Is there a local regulation that's? I don't know, I don't understand that exemption.
So that's another question to ask the attorney.
Well, maybe we do wanna go over this with the attorney again. That's okay, we went through it in the committee, but that's the reason that we're all looking at it in our meeting. We're I mean, there's no requirement that we have to do it at a certain time, that's why we don't do it very often, it
Little
takes a
tiny,
while.
these are, shape kind of things.
Well, that's,
Number 3, 3A, rule rules for personal behavior, personal property, and then number 2, library is not responsible, blah, 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 it needs a period on the end.
That's easy. We don't have to answer that. Yeah.
And then E, considerate use, number 3, on the top of page 3, needs a semicolon at the end. I don't know why, those things never pop at me in this week.
Mary
Just talking
Jane,
to me
yeah,
through
she,
the air.
right.
You say anything about clothing?
There's something in here about,
Is that? I know it's shoes.
and this is
What
not,
about
and this is
shoes?
not gonna be a complete. We're not gonna be able to, you know.
Well, you never.
like
have
if
that
somebody
two
comes-
anything, that's why you do.
Yeah, otherwise we're gonna end up with,
Under B, 3B, food and beverages. This is in the area where people can carry liquor on the street or from restaurant to restaurant, but we're not.
it's not allowed in the, in our
Does
language.
it say that here?
No, oh, does it?
Somewhere in here it says you can't have alcohol.
That's
Yeah.
more about. the-
Two C, alcohol and drugs
Oh, okay,
on the first page,
Vapes.
okay.
and vapes.
Mhm.
And vapes, correct. It does cover most things. When we went through it, it was quite amazing, and I didn't, that mayor shall thing that I just mentioned, I didn't bring it up that first time, but that's why you need to go through things.
I can ask her about it, this is basically her standard language, and we,
Yeah, but yeah,
you know,
I know, I know. Legislative efforts, that's a big issue because you really restrict things.
Can the
Anyway.
golf carts come over here? They passed a law.
It makes
Some streets they can't, I don't know.
I just wondered if somebody can drive a golf cart up to here.
I don't have a problem with it.
As long as they're outside.
Yeah,
but
but
it's-
as far as parking and things like that,
Yeah,
I don't think they try to come in the.
okay.
My public comment is over, but I'm wondering, has the library ever had any firearms drills or teaching with the staff?
Yeah.
You have, okay, I'm
Yeah.
glad to hear that.
Tragic, every time we talk about it, we talk about the tragedy of having to do it, but we have done it.
A lot worse when
The
you have to
world
deal with
that
a
we
bunch of
live
little
in.
kids.
Yeah,
That's really bad.
but whatever size of kids, it's true. Good. Continue, whatever, anybody else see some things?
Any other comments on patrons' behavior policy? Those were the kind of the highlights, I think, that we hit in our meeting that we had.
I didn't, yeah,
Last-
we had.
So the
think that
right
was
of
last
appeal,
month.
it would come to us.
Ultimately, yes.
Yeah, so when you go over somebody, you know.
How would you detect vaping?
Wow, well, you just see them,
Well, we've had.
It's gotta be a visual
because
thing.
you can't
But can
smell
we
it.
smell?
Not
We
usually.
can, some.
Not anymore.
But we've
Yeah.
had, we've had a little bit.
You can tell
People
by
smell them.
sometimes how they're acting, but you can't always prove it, can't prove it.
I mean, we just usually see it. Or they're acting crazy, so then we start watching them. It's always teenagers so far. I mean, there might be an adult, but we don't ever see the behavior change if they're doing it, they're sneaking or going outside and coming back in or something.
Are there security cameras?
Yes,
Most,
and that.
In many
Is it-
places,
in many-
most of the, yeah. Not
Yeah.
everywhere.
And we have
Okay.
utilized that tool.
so how long
with
does
the
that
issue.
stay live, I mean, stay
One-
available?
I have to double check our policy, it's either 1 or 2 weeks.
Okay.
So it's been enough time that, we can go back. but
Yeah.
You can't really see everything, but it does help. It helps you. when-
Especially if somebody denying they did it.
Right.
Okay, so if we want to move forward here. And Mary Jo, we did talk a little bit about this, and I don't know if you want to, about incorporating the programming policy into the material select policy?
Well, I
You
don't,
wanna, I
I
know
think
we
we
wanna talk more about
yeah,
this.
I think the policy committee, it just needs to read through. it
Okay,
and figure
all
out
right,
what to
okay.
do.
Good
Okay,
enough.
Yeah.
So then,
On the one, excuse me, Dan, on the
Sure.
patron behavior policy, I do want to say that it is timely for us to have this discussion. This discussion has already, once again, it always says to me how fortunate we are to have not one, but two professional librarians in the room where we're
Absolutely.
discussing these
Yep.
things. And I also want to say that already in 2023, we've had a couple of incidents of patron behaviors that we've had to address.
Yep.
And that brings the necessity of making sure our policies are.
that's why it's important to have a strong behaviors policy. To
Right.
be able to use it and enforce it.
Julie, do you see any grammatical error?
I do spot a few gender issues. I don't know if you want to go with he or she or use a they, them throughout. There are only a few spots with his or her, near the area B. It's otherwise, I think you could use there throughout. I don't know.
Where are you at?
Look at violation and appeal section, section B, initial violation, if he or she refuses. If they refuse, or if the patron refuses, to just eliminate the gender use. There's
Well,
only a
you
few
under-
spots
I
of gender use.
Under what?
On
B1.
page 5,
There might be a few other places with a his or her. I think under C, there's the library director or his or her designee or the designee.
page 5, the bottom, B1.
Yeah, I guess
So
that
replace
is an
he or
issue,
she with
Maybe
rather
a
than
they,
just his or her.
I think if it's a quick
being
search,
like-
there's only a handful of them and just go with the gender neutral approach to it. To be as inclusive as
That is a
possible.
more updated approach. With language.
What I will do is reach out to our attorney again,
Most of this is
About-
exactly the same as our wording,
well, yeah, it's her template,
except
yeah.
you guys have video recording and audio recording under harassment. I don't think we have that.
I think that's something new that she's put on.
Um,
I will ask her about, the use of shall versus may, including using computers and Wi-Fi. I will ask her what the clause about weapons means, what the exempt from local regulations means. I will talk to her about the gender language. I will ask all of those things and get some answers.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
hopefully replace some.
Good.
Some additions,
Yeah.
some edits.
Well, it's good about video recording because people do it on their phone.
Since we do have an open deck in the library, do we need anything in there about throwing stuff off the deck?
There, off of the Jariga terrace, because what if
Seriously.
somebody
you're right.
complained and
That's
said it was a
probably-
Jariga's fault?
This is not gonna cover every possible
Okay,
thing that
okay.
can go
Yeah,
on,
it could be 100 pages long,
Yeah.
and you probably still forget
but
something.
we'll
Okay,
we'll
all right,
still,
okay.
we will still not allow that, so.
So when they come and get the Jariga family and drag them off to the lockup because something was thrown off of
Siberia.
that terrace.
Well, I
You
know,
can
my- I
remember,
know my
we tried
grandkids,
to
that's
bring
why.
this up.
Yeah,
It's in throwing items. Under
That's right.
Yeah.
consider use.
okay, see, here we go.
See, you've got it covered.
Throwing
Thank you.
items
Including
at
people.
each other or over the terrace or at objects in the library.
So, we actually did really struggle with our attorney on the proper library activities, because
Yeah.
she has language a certain way, and she has her reasons, and.
Well,
I know it's not
We have
her reasons,
adapted and
so,
adapted
yeah.
and adapted this scheme, but it's a little different now. I think.
well, I remember when I looked at it at our meeting, I kind of thought it was a little restrictive too, because there's so many things that really are appropriate ways to behave. in the
Want it to
library.
be welcoming.
Right,
Right.
and if you see your neighbor in the library, you want to be able to say hello to her and then have somebody come up and say that's not appropriate in the library. activity.
Right.
No.
No.
So we'll go back to her on that.
Okay, good.
It's
I-
a- In our
I
view,
might even, I don't know, I'll see what I can do with her, via email, but I might invite her to come. Either
Sure.
to a policy committee meeting or,
Yeah.
yeah.
The, I'm just wondering, as I'm talking about, we don't have video recording, how does she approach that when it comes to these audits? Freedom of information. What are they called? Not freedom of information. We've had a couple at our location.
First Amendment audits.
Yeah, thank you.
Mm.
I mean, they're not allowed to, this doesn't say specifically not the patrons, they are allowed to video record us. But, but I don't, I mean,
Yeah, there's a balancing act of people get videotape as long as they're not invading someone's privacy, so. I mean, there's.
Or bullying someone.
Sure, it's quiet.
Cause a lot of times they video,
But it's
the
really.
video and then they put it on social media. So you don't want that.
well, and you don't want your staff responding like, you're not allowed to videotape me, cause that just is
Yeah,
fuel
that's
for the
just-
fire.
Yeah.
Well, you know, we spent years as we developed this new library and talked to the community about why we needed a new library, what a library and what a library means in the contemporary life. And that's, libraries are more expanded, you know, and that old notion that a library comes in the library and are harsh and say, shh, and don't let anybody do anything in a library. So I think that's some essence of what we're talking about here. Lawyers do lawyer things, librarians do librarians.
Trying to get the right.
Well, yeah,
Right
yeah,
balance,
you know, you find a happy medium between what
Right.
they want and what applies to us, right? I mean,
Right. We've got a good attitude about this, Mr. Graham.
But yeah, that was, you should have seen the original language for this. I should pull that up because it was even worse. so,
Arcane.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, ours has been adapted from hers
Yeah.
too, cause it's just so much legalese you can handle.
Yeah.
Make it understandable.
Yeah,
yeah,
but she has
Not to offend the
her
lawyers and
method, you know, I mean, she has her reason. So,
now, the last time we had a policy committee report here, we talked also about the art committee policy, and we did talk at the policy committee about the art committee, and you've got the piece in here, so. Yeah, you wanna,
sure, I didn't want to rush anybody, so if we're moving on, we're gonna take a look at the art committee member policy. And I think what we have talked about to admit, make some adjustments here is the item that's labeled number 2. I think we have talked about just striking that out of the policy.
Good.
And getting rid of that. And I don't know if anybody's got any heartburn over that or questions about that,
So
but
from this right now, if they just go in a 3-year rotation, then they'll be staggered.
right,
That's what I'm trying to say.
but it was staggered, but it's also, this implies some term limiting, which we didn't think was necessary.
Yeah,
We just are trying to give the most flexibility, and we don't want to be in violation of our own policy, but we don't want a policy that forces us to, you know, we have a really good group with the art committee, a great committee. So anyway, we all felt that we would operate just as well without that language in here and without those restrictions.
well, I make a motion to do that. Change.
Great. It's been moved, is it supported?
well, there's one other change that we did want to talk about. So under number 4, we were striking out the treasurer and
Okay.
treasurer.
Excellent.
So with those two,
Yeah.
I
Is
guess,
that appropriate to your motion, Joy?
That I was.
So it's been moved by Shahavitz and supported by Priest that the items indicated with strike language on your, on the sheet before you be eliminated from the Belleville Area District Library Art Committee members policy. Any more discussion?
Well, I think we're gonna have another meeting, but I think it's not gonna be until April. We're-
Well, we have
We'll
a
try to
mo-
do one before then.
We have a motion on the floor. Let's
Okay.
act on the motion and then we'll decide when there's gonna be a meeting.
Okay.
To the degree that any other comments about the motion, then all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed by saying no. The ayes have it, and there are no dissenting votes. Now I turn it back to you, Dan, sorry.
So part of the meeting was, obviously, we needed to get together again and do a little bit more reviewing. I kind of thought we hammered this one out, but it looks like we need to do a little bit more talking on that one. And we had started talking about incorporating the material selection policy into the or I should say the programming policy into the material selection policy. So further conversation about that.
Well, I received a material selection policy template and a programming policy template from Ian Sarah. What we're looking at it as, the policy committee is looking at seeing if it, should that be two separate documents or should they all be folded into one?
They don't have a programming policy, it must be another maybe.
So, but they're just kind of,
We're all
they're kind of
learning from
some,
each other.
they're kind of similar.
They're very similar. So anyway, further conversation and you know, more conversation for the next meeting.
But none of this has an urgent timeline on it, so we can leave it that the policy committee will take under consideration all the input we've gained tonight. And we'll meet again and make recommendations, whether that's in time for our March meeting or not. It's gonna depend on calendars and availability and all
Right,
that.
exactly.
And the interaction with our attorney, so.
Yep.
We'll give the policy committee the latitude to operate as best, in the best way possible, but this has really been a big step forward. It's been a lot of work with the staff, and I'm commending, this is Dan's second meeting. and
Yes.
Did good,
We
Dan.
gave it,
Brianne.
we gave it. Keeping up.
I'm relying on the experts, so they're keeping me straight.
You're doing just fine, so thank you.
Yes.
Thank
anytime.
you. And then on the art committee, we did not have a formal meeting. The committee chair, Michelle Montour, has communicated to the committee electronically by email and has moved forward in some of the items that the committee responded to by email, which would be the display that we might all find in our, remember as we were building the building, this idea of temporary art and utilizing our building to be a way to feature the creativity in our community. And it's really exciting right now because the creativity that we are featuring is that of our young people from Belleville, from the Belleville school. So I hope all of you have noticed that in the atrium area, and it can be observed from the second floor or the first floor. And I really enjoyed the preceding display from the Belleville Area Council for the Arts of the art fair pieces, but this one is enjoyable as well, and we already are lined up on temporary exhibits until 2025. So we have another one coming. We will have the art committee, we will have Michelle Montour come and report to us because she really does a better job talking about it than anybody. We are really fortunate.
And then she did move those two pieces into the fireplace room.
The magazine area, she
Yeah.
took those out.
And
And Doug
put them-
Peters signed a request saying it was on loan, but when she wanted to give it back to Dan or to Doug, John Douglas. Anyway, Doug, he said, I thought I gave them to you.
Oh.
So we may be moving them to the quiet room
Oh, yeah, because
Talking
we
about that.
wanted
Yeah,
art in
yeah.
there. But he was the one that was talking, Barbara will say this, he was the one about not having us be permanent,
Right.
Yeah.
have permanent art, and that was why we had it on loan.
He's
from
got
him
so
in the
many
first place.
paintings at his house. He's
But
got-
we
It's
had.
like probably bought new ones to put in that spot. so
It
he
was
doesn't wanna put-
guidance from John Doug Peters, but his guidance for us has been so great
Yeah.
that
He's wonderful.
however he responds is, it's fine with me. It was good to see him. I saw him at a program here in the library not too long ago.
He was at the movie program. But
Good. Arthur? Yeah.
He said,
I didn't
she
hear what
said,
you said.
he says he was at the movie program with his wife.
that Peter,
Oh,
Doug
yes,
Peters.
at the classic
Chris,
movie,
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Michelle sent pictures of those two paintings, but it was better to see them in person. They
Yeah.
were-
It's always a good idea, and I have to go in there in the periodical room and walk through there, but sometimes I don't, you've walked through enough times and you've seen it and you don't look again.
Right.
So I'm gonna have to go down there especially to look at it, and I urge all the rest of you who haven't, re-looked at these pieces to go in there and look, and that's the point of changing our art in
Right.
there, it just gives freshens up our facility.
I walked through, just recently and kind of enjoyed the, high school art
Yeah.
exhibits. I thought that was really nice, and I appreciated the fact that you could kind of vote on.
That
The
was
ones
nice,
you
that was a
liked.
nice touch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they have a people's choice.
Yeah.
award,
It's
so
so
you
right.
can- you can nominate.
Yeah.
which
I thought that was
gives
very
you
nice.
like-
Yeah, it's really making our building more useful and more multi-dimensional. Was there anything else you had on the art committee?
I think that covers it.
Okey-dokey. Then moving right along, we are to accounts payable. What an exciting item on our agenda. But we have to do it, so it's, that's it. We're at that point. It is appropriate after people have had a chance to look at it again, for there to be a motion for us to.
I have only one question. The Wyandotte Alarm Company, camera installation, I thought we had all our cameras in
We added two
In place.
we added two more cameras.
where,
A second camera in the teen room. And a separate camera looking down the hall towards the back door to the teen
so how
room.
many cameras do we have now?
I think 12,
Wow,
yeah.
okay, good.
I have like 16 in my little building.
Do you really?
Yeah.
I do.
Well, you have. plenty of active-
You've got a
That's
different,
in the
you've
building.
got a
and
different
then,
crowd than we have.
lunch hour.
You're a little bit more urban than we are.
I was curious, on the second page, the T-Mobile, is that for the hotspots?
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know, that-
How
yeah,
many
a couple
do we
more.
have?
Lindsay would know the answer to that.
You have a ballpark?
10.
More than,
And-
at least one.
Yeah.
Okay.
How often,
Are they usually checked out?
Oh, yes.
Ours
Yeah.
are always checked out too.
Well, we changed our rules on it too, that allow for a longer checkout.
Yeah.
And you can place holds on them now, so it just makes it easier.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah.
how often do we get our fire extinguishers inspected?
Once a year.
Once a year.
So you were able to figure out a way so that they could still be checked, on hold just for Belleville patrons?
They have to be picked up here, so that. kind of
So
limits
that,
it, yeah.
okay. I make a motion to approve the accounts payable.
So we have a motion by Jehevitz and support by Jeriga. That accounts payable be approved. Any other last minute comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed by saying no. There are no negative votes. The motion is approved unanimously. And now we move to one of the most exciting and a favorite item on the agenda, the director's report.
So the Michigan minimum wage law and paid sick leave laws that, basically the appeals court overturned those. So those are no longer a factor for us, at least at this time. I believe that it's been appealed to the state Supreme Court, so we're still, waiting to, it'll be a little longer before we know the outcome. And I included an article in your.
You did appeals court hold minimum wage spike in
Mhm.
Michigan.
Mhm.
So, but you're saying that are you,
It,
holding off on updating the compensation chart?
no, the chart the board approved last month is fine.
Okay.
Because that's not minimum wage.
And I
Right.
put,
Right.
and there was, I think there was only one position where I put like. Whatever the higher of the two numbers or what,
Yeah.
so it,
Okay.
yeah. So
Okay,
we're
I was
good for
wanting
that,
to
yeah.
make sure you could operate too.
So we're still, we're still keeping an eye on this,
The number of teen and internet use is like astounding, the increase.
yes.
You continue.
We have been found. So it's great, now they come after school and.
That
really use those
that
computers,
really
yeah.
is what draws them.
Is that mostly the teens?
The teen computers, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so.
Oh,
too, so
yeah,
I
I
didn't
would
know.
say probably most of them.
Yeah.
The children use the internet in the kids' room too, but they use the computers more,
Yeah, it's
so.
not really up to the.
Right.
Yeah.
I have observed more in the kids' room, more computer usage in the kids' room than I had been. It seems like it's increasing there too. I always call it the kids' room, it's for the youth one, but that's the youth one, right?
That's something, I call it the kids' room.
Yes.
So, we did say goodbye to, library assistant Jackie Douglas, who's been with us for quite some time. She has another, she had gotten another full-time job a little while ago and kind of kept her hand in here for a while, and she's was ready to leave the nest, so,
I saw her not too long ago, and I didn't know
Sweden
if
has
that
put
was
that
happening.
2011,
Yeah.
wow.
yeah. So,
She's a sweetie.
As you know, Val's big sister. And I've been used to both of those sisters working here, so. Well, but however, we've had really good work.
doing what she loves, so. Sharon and I had a meeting with, Dave Robinson regarding the intercounty transit that we had kind of talked about a little bit at our last meeting, and,
Mhm.
in short, they need to, People's Express needs to present their plans to city council, so it needs to get approved by them.
Who would pay for this service?
Right now, it's through a grant.
So they're providing
providing it for free.
service, but. Many of the things, we had a very robust conversation last month about this. Our board raised significant issues, kind of things that should be considered. The interface with the senior transportation program that Belleville had all those kind of things, but they weren't really in our wheelhouse.
Right.
We were really out of our lane with this. It's a transit issue, and that's not what library board members get elected to handle. So we had said, as we discussed it last time, that the appropriate move was, and we had said, all of us when we learned about it, that the appropriate move was to discuss it with the city. So this meeting that we had with Dave Robinson was the first step in this. He had talked with the man who was operating this and talked with him about presenting to the board before, but then the city council. But then after our discussion, that has moved forward, and I believe it's it is next Monday.
Okay.
That will be presented at city council, and I plan to go to that meeting just to see how it's handled. We did allow those buses, as Mary Jo reported to you last time, we allowed them to try out coming through here, and for a period of time, you could see them out here in the front.
They were here today.
Oh, were they?
And
So they're still coming around.
Every time I saw them, they didn't have anyone on board.
Right,
Just a driver.
and that has been so if they have a government grant and they do the activity and then they can't show numbers that they've been serving people, I'm afraid it'll just set transit back in our area. But I think if they work with appropriate municipal entities, perhaps they can get it so it really serves the needs of the people. I think people just don't know it even exists, so.
But there are a lot of issues that, that Dave Robinson brought up that, insurance that are not in our wheelhouse, talking about liability,
Yeah.
talking about things like that, so.
Our
And I
parking
haven't heard,
lot,
I haven't heard yet if it's on the agenda or not.
oh, it's not for sure on the
I-
agenda next week.
That's what, the plan was, but I don't know.
Well,
Okay.
then we'll check and see, and we'll keep connected, but
Mhm.
not in a way.
I usually go to those meetings, so.
Okay.
I'll check.
Yeah, and we agreed for them to temporarily use our parking lot. Our parking lot is jointly owned between us and the city.
Mhm.
So the appropriate entity to carry this forward. So however that grant moves forward will be under the auspices of the city. He really should be with all the municipal bodies. He should be in front of the VBT and the city and whatever he's doing over in Ypsilanti. But
Is there anything that they do to post routes or stops or anything here at the library to even allow people to know that?
Posting up on our bulletin board, I think that's still there, but.
And we talked to him
Yeah.
about utilizing that. He said he had an article in the Independent. I haven't heard of anybody, all of
I don't
us always
remember.
read it, but
Yeah,
I haven't seen it and I haven't seen any ads in there. That would be a way he could,
right.
but again, it's not for us. to
No,
do that.
But it's a nice service, and if people don't know it exists, then it's just gonna, it's gonna fall by the wayside.
And there will be public funds that
Right.
are granted for them to do this,
Right.
that are not utilized, right? That was my concern in the first place, but I think we're passing it off to a more appropriate entity to really.
Yep.
To really make all this happen, and a lot of it should happen in the first place, they should have made these, gotten this all straightened out, but. Anyway, I appreciate that, Mary Jo, that we had the meeting and I appreciate them moving ahead. The long mechanical,
Yeah, they had to come out to a couple of the heat tapes on the roof needed to be. Repaired, so they came out and did that. I also had they have, one side of their company is heating and cooling, the other side is plumbing, so I actually had them come we had some low flow issues in many of our sinks. I think it had to do with that sediment issue we had, so they addressed that, so those are good again. I am very sorry to tell you that the entry curtain wall is still leaking.
yeah, I'm really sorry about that.
So,
It only leaks one in a great while. The wind's gotta be blowing perfectly in a one direction. And
yeah,
The
it's
rain
true the
and-
past couple of times, like the last time, I didn't really feel like it was
Yeah.
blowing particularly
Yeah.
in any direction, so. I don't know.
Dan, for your,
Yeah,
benefit, what
where
we're
is this?
talking about, what's called the curtain wall is that the curved wall.
Okay,
around
right,
the-
yeah.
And very shortly after we moved in here, we started experiencing
Mm.
real
It's
funny weather.
Intermittent, it's never happens when it snows, it's only rain,
Well, it's not every
and
rain.
it's not
And
every
it's
rain.
usually rain
The
whether
wind's
it's
not
out of
blowing the
place.
right way.
Yes.
Yeah,
Always in the same place.
Way it's hot.
Is there,
and we've tried a number.
The steel is leaking from the roof or from the
Well,
window
we-
frames?
We've they've looked at both, and
Oh.
both of the
If they knew I was leaking,
window
they'd
people
fix it,
have
right?
addressed it.
And they have done several fixes and for several months we go ahead and it looks like it's fixed and then I'm really sorry to see that.
But O'Neill Construction's reaching out to the glass people again to figure out what the
Does
next
that mean,
step is.
does that mean Dean gets to come out here?
so if it's been doing it since they put it in, and it's there.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's the.
well, we thought it was fixed, I mean, they did one
tried
major
several
fix that I thought really took care of this.
Yeah, we do.
Mm.
We thought we were done with that one. I was sorry to see that back.
It's like it's my karma to live in a library that has a mystery leak.
At least we don't
Well,
have to
we
put
didn't see-
umbrellas up
yeah.
and
Right.
waste
Yeah.
baskets to catch the
Bucket.
drip.
Yeah.
Oh my God. We
Yeah.
do not buckets, you don't have buckets.
No.
We used to.
All over the place.
Oh, my God.
The Whitaker Road branch has buckets everywhere.
Really?
New,
Yeah,
yeah.
well, they got part of them fixed. Spent a lot of money to get part of the leaks fixed. It was all in the windows.
Oh,
Wow.
It's a weakness.
Well, Dan does beautiful window work.
So our behavior policy is coming at a good time. As you can see, we were had an active week the other week. We had a couple of cases where we needed to invoke our policy. One was like a decent exposure.
To patron behavior,
Yeah.
that's why I was saying that the
Mhm.
patron behavior policy is an appropriate thing to look at. We had a very
Mhm.
unfortunate incident. but-
So, and then we also had we talked about the vaping. We actually had a team that we. were
We had a
able to
vaping incident as
So
well.
I have a
Catch for like
question.
a second offense and so.
Oh, second offense.
Vaping, yeah. So I have a question about insurance,
Mhm.
this wording of ban. She's always told us we're not allowed to ban anybody. That's since I worked at Brighton. We can give them a 1 year maximum
Mhm.
because they're taxpayers. And they have a right to use a tax-based institution.
Well, the police, what
No
we have is with
trespasses
the
are for
police.
1 year here, or at least in Ipsy, they're 1 year trespasses. Believe me, I'm very familiar with this.
You speak from experience.
Notice I didn't put I didn't specify it. Because I am cognizant of that.
Yeah,
Um,
it's just something to be aware of. I mean, then after a year, sometimes they come back and you might have the issue again, and I mean, I had somebody who's suspended for a couple of years.
Because of that.
Not this specific issue, but because of
some
whatever they did.
Some issues.
Yeah, they kept doing it,
Yeah,
so,
anyway.
yeah. So that might need to be in the policy, I guess I'm saying.
Well, I think I mean,
I don't see any limit to suspension.
yeah, I don't think
You
she,
don't want
well, she didn't tell us we had, okay? I mean,
Maybe if it's changed, I'd love to know that,
Yeah.
because there's a couple people I'd like to ban.
I do believe in redemption, so,
Well,
but,
I do too.
You know, we've had discussions in this room and in this organization about the mental health issues that sometimes express themselves in library behaviors, because library is a public place that anybody can come to. Clearly, in this instance, there's that concern, but
Mhm.
we have to weigh the rest of our patrons, and we can't be having things that will freak, that vary, and that it was totally inappropriate.
so, on to better things. I want to talk about some of our programs coming up.
Yep.
Please, if you're available tomorrow, we've got a program, trial evening on, the Black Bottom neighborhood. That's going to be very, very good. So I encourage all of you to attend that if you can. It's at 6:30.
I'm planning to come, you're planning to come, aren't you? Yeah, I hope all of you.
Try to make it.
As many of you can come, but certainly people that grew up in Detroit or in Detroit, Emily, you worked there all that time. You must have had a lot of people that talk to, I know I worked with a lot of people who were raised in Detroit's Black Bottom and knew the significance of that neighborhood. And I can vouch for Ken Coleman, a really top flight reporter, journalist, storyteller. So I think it would be really interesting.
Yeah, it should be a good program.
Is this, oh, I see it. I was wondering if it was scheduling. It's over here on the left.
Pardon? Yeah, there's
It was kind of faded in there. I couldn't see
Yeah, it's hard to read.
the date and the time.
I tried to, I put on Facebook what we had, but it was hard to get where it could be well read, but I believe it'll be really well, this particular thing will be really well attended. And I see you also noted about Ebony Evans. And I want to bring everybody's attention. Ebony Evans is a member of our community that's on the last line of her programming report. She'll be here about her book. She is an author, and this is her first book, but Ebony is also the woman who worked with us last year, 2021, for our opening event, 2022.
Yeah.
When we had our grand opening she worked at Trader Joe's
Oh,
and
yeah,
she
woman.
availed her,
Oh, yeah.
with all kinds of
Quite a bit.
goodies. She's lovely and she's
Uh-huh.
in this building and the story, her book, I won't be here. I'm hoping my husband will be able to come to that, but, the story she tells is rooted in her personal, experience. It should be a fascinating moment and also it's support of our local talent. So that's one to come to if you can. I'm glad you pointed those two out. Always, Mary Jo Brown, I'll be forever with this Mary Jo thing. Always, Mary Jo gives us great, articles to read, but also all the events. I just always am so proud of all the kind of activities that we have going on. I know a lot, and you've got a flyer about Ebony's thing, and this Women's History Month. Presentation, I don't know if I know this lady.
So that will be,
It's a
March
Zoom,
15th.
but that's a Zoom piece, right?
she's zooming in, yes.
Okay, but we're gathering in the
We're
program
gathering.
room listening to her, I see. Yeah, I'll see all the,
Is she from up north somewhere? Sounds
Um,
familiar to me.
I can't remember.
She's from up north, somewhere in Michigan.
and then Alma, do you have anything to say about our computer classes which are advertised in here?
Computer guru.
You're a computer guru, are you teaching the classes?
No. I need to take the classes.
Alma has been availing herself. God knows I need to take them. I'm half afraid to take them because being as stupid as I am with technology, I hate to embarrass our library by being in there being so dumb.
We weren't born with computers. Young people today.
I'm
We've come a long way.
no
Those
youngster.
I have to keep telling myself that.
And my kids don't live nearby and can't
That's
come
right.
and fix things. Well, anyway, I always enjoy your report, Joan.
Uh-huh.
You got anything else to tell them? Well, if we stop running our mouth soon, we won't be going overtime to the library, for the library staff. So that takes care of the director's report. It's time for trustee comments. And today people can go in volunteer order. Who wants to go first?
I will.
Linda.
Yes. So I know a lot of people don't have much use for Facebook, but last week I saw this post and I reposted it because I thought it really said something. I don't know if any of you have seen this, but mostly I go to the library for books, but also sometimes I just go to exist in a space that's organized, peaceful, comfortable, welcoming, and run by somebody who actually seems to know what they're doing. Because that energy is straight up medicinal. I just thought, that's it.
That's our library.
And the second thing I wanted to say is I did go to the movie night and I brought two couples, two of my good friends and four of my good friends. And we loved it. It was just so much fun. And I'm definitely going to the next one. And I just really recommend it to everybody. It's a lot of people sitting around who love movies, and this guy really knows what he's talking about.
It's
He has
wonderful.
he has little inside things, and he lets you ask questions or make some comments like I did, because I love movies. And it was just a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to the next one, Rear Window.
I hope you'll come to
Grace
the,
Kelly.
I hope you'll come to the Conformist, the DIA movie.
I'd like to, and he won an Academy Award.
For that Italian
Not
film?
not for that one, but for another one, so he's a good director, that guy. Anyway,
Is
that's
it
my
an
piece.
animation thing?
No,
No,
no.
okay.
It's subtitled?
I'm sure.
Probably.
I don't know I don't recall seeing a subtitle, but there's a whole series
sure
of
there
great
is.
movies coming into the
DIA.
Detroit Film Theater. They have the story of Tolstoy's marriage
Wow.
Uh-huh.
based on his letters the actress reads, the letters from Tolstoy. And that's that film, and then the trial, Kafka's The Trial, which was done by Orson Welles, and he calls it the best movie he ever made.
Wow.
I've gone to their theater, you know,
Oh,
it's
it's
a resource, a cultural resource in our area, that's wonderful. And I do really commend you, Barbara, for working on availing this community with that, the bus trips where people can all go together.
Well, and from Mary Jo, I got the name of the Rotary contact. So the DIA is going to contact the regional Rotary, because the individual Rotaries are not enough to fill up a 50-person bus. But they're gonna recruit Rotary, they're gonna recruit Kiwanis. And I put them in touch with Huron Township, and I got a call into Diane Slavin.
Oh, good for
So that
Canton.
she gets Canton going.
Good.
I think the last one that the Van Buren Township had a tour down to DIA was actually kind of sold out, wasn't
For
it?
Van Gogh.
I mean, Van Buren.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sold
Barbara
out.
did that one.
Yeah, because I tried to get on there and it's like, oh no, there's no room left.
Pierce who is also a strong library, Friends of the Library, and a strong supporter. The synergy in this community of the people that work on cultural issues is really nice. to
Now
see.
you have an in. You know
Right,
somebody.
yeah, I should have dropped some names, I guess.
There you go. You come to work in this library, you get to know what's going on. Well, good. Who's next? Are you done, Linda? I'm
I'm done.
sorry.
Yes. Oh, did know one more thing. I did come on last Saturday, and saw the quilting people, which I thought was really good. And then I went back to the children's area, youth area, and it was just buzzing.
Yeah.
And everybody was just so happy. And I went up and talked to a few people, and they said how much they liked it, the parents with their kids. So I'm just saying that we're doing some good work.
Yeah, it kind of enlivens you to go in there and
Yeah.
see all that activity. Yes. Oh, John is next.
Happy to announce that Mary Jo is going on vacation starting tomorrow for a
Oh.
week. She needs,
Oh,
she
shoot.
needs. She needs.
He wants to sneak in
Are you
here
doing
and
a
do
staycation
For a vacation, it's a vacation.
A vacation.
a well-earned
Staycation.
vacation.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
Staycations
Well,
are just my thing.
Do they serve tropical drinks for you?
Yes, I do.
There you go.
You guys-
That's all it is.
Also, I'd like to announce that 20 years ago today, I had 7 bypasses. It's nice to be alive. Yeah.
And well.
Thank you.
I didn't know you could have that many.
The record is 12.
Wow.
This was one surgery?
You had 20.
I had 7,
Oh, you had 7.
20
Didn't you
years ago.
say, 20 years ago, 7?
Yeah.
Only 7.
Only 7.
Only 7.
I had conflated and thought he said 20. And
No,
I thought,
no,
oh,
sorry.
So where did you have that done? In case I need it.
St. Joe.
done? Because
My
it worked out pretty well.
Dr. Bobby Kong, he's in Traverse City now.
Oh, okay.
Wonderful.
Sister's
Got
getting
little fingers, you can get in there.
No.
Is that bad, Julie?
Just funny.
Oh, well, good. Anybody ready to go?
We're glad you're.
I wanted to ask, didn't you just do, have our legislatures here or state?
Legislators.
Yeah,
I can
was
report
that
on
great?
that.
That passed, right? I was wondering what the turnout was for the,
Excellent.
yeah.
Plus,
yeah.
Linda was there, John was there.
It was really good.
Was any other board member?
Good.
I was
Um,
there.
Barbara was there. It was excellent, an excellent turnout. It was not just, it was
Good.
advertised or put together by Senator, Darren
Camilleri.
Camilleri, but it was jointly done with Reggie
Miller.
Miller, with our new representative.
Wonderful.
They provided excellent information for the community. It was full. The room was
Mary, you had to
standing
get more
room.
chairs out.
It was, we had staff in there. We had live
Interest in
conversation.
civic engagement.
And
Yeah.
We got money for the bridge.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I
Well-
did read about that.
Yeah, it's well, there.
It's committed.
Yeah, there is a tremendous process,
Oh, yeah.
a tremendous legislative process it has to go through, but to get it in the initial bill is a big step
And in
forward.
writing.
And Reggie has worked that, Reggie has a tremendous relationship with the new Speaker of the House. And my career, I know when a legislator goes in already with a good relationship with leadership, that puts their constituents, and these two people, I met the guy through Reggie. I just think he's one of the most promising people I've seen, and I worked at the legislature for like 40 years.
Camilleri.
No, the
Oh,
new
the
speaker,
oh, the
that
speaker.
Camilleri also is, he is real leadership material, especially with this term limited legislature. He just knows what he's doing, so we're really well served around here.
Yeah.
I thought it was a great, did you ever
Really?
read on it?
Yeah, Reggie's like a bulldog. She,
She sure is. That girl would get it, so she's only been there 3 weeks and she already got it.
She contacted me that she wants to host a class. So I contacted Miss Crockett, the principal at the high school, and she took it to the guy that runs the social studies department. So in early May, a whole busload of kids from Belleville is going to a legislative session and a tour of the Capitol.
great.
Reggie is gonna, she's
She's
the
a
main
bulldog.
person.
She's not afraid to work.
Right, and she doesn't just wait around, she's only been there, less than a month, and girlfriend has gotten all
They had
kinds of
6
things.
bills. 6 bills.
Yeah, and also they've already done some other legislators that I've known for years, they've done some wonderful steps already, so I was pleased.
Yeah.
This library. All of the cool programs, and especially, I think civic engagement is so important.
Yeah. I'm pleased we can do that. Thank you. So Joy, so that
That's it.
leaves Alma and Dan. Who wants to go next?
I don't have anything, honestly. I mean, thanks for being patient while I was
That's how I was.
reviewing the policy, you know.
Okay. It's a
Okay.
while.
Yeah.
This group was a little wonky.
Oh, no, that's a great group. That's a
Figure
great
your way
group.
in. So
Yes.
it'll take you a couple meetings and then you'll be talking like us.
Well,
I'm in
I thought regarding that policy committee, which is kind of complicated, and he really did keep
Mhm.
track of what we all talked about, and he told y'all, and he did the job of the chair. So I appreciate that.
Well,
So
thank
do
you.
you have anything to say or not? We're just happy you're here.
Thanks. Good to be here.
Okay, Alma, you've gotten off that long. You can put down your pen and tell us something.
She's
Nothing.
gonna forget something.
Yeah.
Well, I got these notes all scrambled, but just special prayers to the families that were affected in at Michigan State. I know Sharon's an alumni there, and several of my friends attended there, so
Yeah.
let's just keep them in prayer.
The flag was at half staff.
Thank you. On that note, and with the chair comments, that was what I was gonna lead with anyway. I'm a heavy-hearted Spartan today. I just arrived home from New York City last evening. And I think I got in at 6:30, and by the time, we're settling in, here's all this. And anybody who's gone to Michigan State, Berkey Hall, I don't think there's anybody who's been associated with Michigan State who hasn't been in both Berkey Hall and the Union. I mean, if you're no place else, those two places you might be. And the idea that this guy wasn't even in any official connected to the university at all, and just marched out, it's mind blowing. And I have talked to a number of friends and looked at my Facebook feed today. It's just affecting everybody. But whether it was Michigan State or some other state's big university, the idea that this could be happening, and it's 5-year anniversary of Parkland, and we talk about it week after week. What do they say? 68?
68.
This is 68th mass shooting this year. We haven't even had 68 days. So I really am at the point of just anger. I worked 20 years ago. We worked on a youth violence prevention activity package of bills, which passed, which had a little bit of gun safety and some mental health and some early childhood supports. And all those things are important, but The only one that's gone backwards from we did this in around 2000, 2001. The gun issue has just gone so far backwards, it is so much worse. That bowling from Camp Columbine was just out, but the automatic weapons ban was still in force. And we talked about how we had to do more to protect our children after bowling for Columbine and after some stuff that happened in Michigan. And we're just going backwards. It's
Melissa's
horrible.
Blackman was furious.
Yeah, I saw her this morning.
So I have a feeling they're gonna come up with something. some kind
Well,
of-
you know, yeah, they've
And I-
talked about a lot of things.
And I've got
Melissa's
one more
laughing.
thing to say, and even though he's not a part of this community, he was at one time, is kudos to Police Chief James White, who is a clinician. And he's the police chief for the city of Detroit. And he was one of the first ones to say that a lot of these shootings and, acts of violence are people with mental illness or that need treatment. And I think with him being such a visible figure, that a lot of other departments are taking note of that. It's a huge problem. And we
But
gotta
also
find
their
ways to-
access to weapons that are so deadly.
Yeah, right.
Because it's not that we're the only place where there's mental illness and
Right,
anxiety.
right, but I'm just saying that was really, to me, one of the people to first, address it, and
Kinda
because of his
Shine a
background,
light on it.
because of his background, he's a clinician. That's, where his training, so he
Mhm.
identifies it, so
We've cut
hopefully
We've
they'll let
shut
him,
down all our.
let him speak, or, I know they've let some of the other, directors of public safety or whatever, but in the city of Detroit, it is a huge problem.
Yeah,
And the thing is, you lock not lock these people up, but you take them in for treatment. And before you get out of there good, or the next day, they're right back out.
Yeah.
So, and the family, they don't want, or they're afraid of them. The police come in and do their job, and, and sometimes it, is, sometimes they have to use force, to get people under control, and it's been an ongoing problem, and it's not just Detroit, it's everywhere. And,
when it really affects our kids, it's really.
oh,
hard.
absolutely, absolutely.
But yeah, the issue, we both have to both offer our prayers or our heartfelt concerns, but also become active in trying to make things better.
Yeah.
John?
Madam
John?
Chair, I make a motion that this meeting be adjourned.
That motion has been made and seconded, it's non-negotiable, or that's what we've always said.
Not negotiable.
We are adjourned.